Hello and welcome to your daily 7 minutes of Unity. Today we are going to talk about what is the transfer component and colliders. If you enjoyed this tutorial series, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's jump straight to the episode. The first thing you need to know is that every game object has a transfer component, and this determines the position, the rotation, and the scale of each object in the scene. In other words, it controls what you have added in the hierarchy. Let's add a cube to see that when you add it, the transform is there without you need to add it. Okay, the second thing you are going to address are colliders. Colliders, as game objects, are added to your cube or your sphere to the objects made by Unity by default. Collider components help the core to define the shape of a game object, and it's often used for the purpose of physical collisions. There are a lot of types of colliders, those are not important for beginners. All you need to know is that there are two main groups, 2D colliders and 3D colliders. As the name says, the first category is used in 2D games, and the second, guess what? In the 3D. Okay, after we know all this theory, let's make a small test to see how game objects interact with the environment, with colliders and without. I'm going to add a cube, another cube, to be the floor. Let's call it floor. I'm going to increase the scale. Let's make it 10 on the X and 10 on the Z. And as you can see, there the collider is already added by the Unity. But if it won't be there, you can add it by add component and box collider. And the cube already has its collider as well. Now let's check what will happen if I'm going to press the play button. But first we need to add a rigid body. I'm going to show you what rigid body is in the future tutorials, because the cube will stay right in his place because there is no gravity. Now we need to add the rigid body in order to use gravity. Okay, let's add the box. Let's remove the box collider from the cube to see what is going to happen if we are going to press play. As you can see, the cube passed through the floor. But now let's go again at the add component and let's add a box collider. Now we are going to do the test again. As you can see, I'm going to move the camera a little bit up and to see where the cube it is. As you can see, the cube stands into the stands on the floor, because now the core knows that this object has its colliders and it won't pass through the floor. As you can see, the colliders are those green lines that helps core to understand that the cube can't pass through the floor. In order to change the collider shape, if you don't like it like this, if it's too small or too big, but this won't happen because Unity is very well optimized, you can press edit collider, and there are a lot of points, if you can see them, green points. And if you drag like this, now the core knows that your cube isn't a cube anymore, and its width increased. Now let's make another test. I'm going to add some height, and the cube, the actually mesh of the cube is smaller than the box collider. Let's see what is going to happen if I'm going to press right now. If I'm going to press play right now. As you can see, the player isn't touching the floor. but the code doesn't take the mesh into consideration, only the scale of the collider. And as you can see, collider touches the floor, but the mesh doesn't. Now, let's test our knowledge by making a small project to combine transform and the colliders in a script. We are going to do the mini project by simulating an endless runner game. What I'm going to do is to create some obstacles and to increase the X scale of the floor and add some materials, and I'll show you after a little bit of time lapse. Okay, I've set it up the scene for the endless run gamer. Now we need to make it solid color because it will look a little bit better, and we have to create a scripts folder. We are going to add the first script there, and let's create another script, a C# script. Now there we are going to add on the transform.position on vector 3 with minus 0.5 float, 0 and 0. Oh sorry, we need to call it like new vector 3. Okay, what I've done there is calling the transform. I've just showed you in this tutorial the transform of where the script is added, and we are going to add the endless script to the player. Okay, and this will actually decrease the X transform by 0.5 floats every frame. Okay, we've set this up. Let's see what's happening when we have colliders, and let's make the collider of the cube normal because we've played with it and it is deformed. Okay, let's see what's happening when we have colliders. As you can see, there was a collision between them, but it was a little bit of a problem. But let's see what's happening when we remove the collider. As you can see, our player is going down because it doesn't have any effect. If you don't have a collider, the code doesn't know those two floor and player hit. Okay, this was the video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something from it. If you found it useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you next time!